Welcome back, boils and ghouls. Boils and ghouls? I know you're there. I can't see anything after the last Sleepaway Camp movie made me blind myself with bleach. I mean, it wasn't a bad movie as far as cheap slasher movies go. It was just, not good. So my expectations for Sleepaway Camp 3, Teenage Wasteland, could not possibly be lower. This movie was filmed back-to-back with the last one, under the same director, at the same YMCA that the last one was filmed at. It may as well be the same movie. It even brings back Pamela Springsteen as Angela, which, to be fair, was the one thing that I actually liked about the last movie. So, okay. Let's do this. The third movie opens up on this random topless teenager. Wow, it did not take this movie long to get to the boobs. The best part about her boobs is that she barely has any, and yet she still has milkshake tattooed across her chest. Take it from someone who knows. When your tits are that small, milk doesn't really shake that much. Anyway, Milkshake here is on her way to summer camp, but unfortunately, Angela knows that she showed her tits to the camera, and that means that she has to get run over by a garbage truck. Angela steals her clothes and somehow has a wig on hand that looks exactly like Milkshake's hair, so that she can take her place on the bus to summer camp. And if you somehow manage to avoid understanding anything that just happened, the movie helps you out by kindly writing Angela's back on the wall in graffiti. Oh, really? Is she back, movie? I never would have guessed. Anyway, cut forward to the summer camp, because this isn't just any old summer camp. This is a summer camp with a mission. Meet Lily and Herman, the camp directors. Apparently, they took over the summer camp from the previous movie and used the opportunity to build a social experiment. Half of the campers here are spoiled, privileged brats from well-off families. And the other half are angry, violent stereotypes from the streets. Actually, to be fair, as much as these characters are predominantly stereotypes, I will give them this. At least they actually have personalities, unlike the characters from the last movie. I'll get more into their personalities as they become relevant, but for now, suffice it to say, yeah, I'm impressed. Good on you, movie. You actually improved on your predecessor in some way. I didn't see that coming, but okay. So anyway, Lily and Herman are a married couple who act high as fuck through the whole movie. Lily is probably the most, human between the two. She's just really lazy and way too cheery. Herman, on the other hand, acts as though he had to get drunk to make it through this movie. And it really doesn't help that he spends the whole movie hitting on one of the teenage campers. You know, I'm just gonna repeat that one for the people in the back who might not have heard me. Teenage, as in underage. As in illegal and creepy. There is nothing that this franchise loves more than pedophiles, is there? So anyway, the third leader at this camp is this guy, Barney. His personality is that he's a cop, and also he's the father of Sean from the last movie. You'd think that would play into the plot somehow. Maybe he's here to hunt Angela down. But no, it's kinda just a coinky-dink. Anyway, the camp leaders split the campers up into 3 groups and take them out into the woods. Angela winds up in the group led by Harmon, along with the teenager he's hitting on, a boy obsessed with cherry bombs, and a blonde boy whose hobbies include graffiti and being a general annoyance to everyone he comes across. Harmon sends Angela, Graffiti Boy, and Cherry Bomb out to fish for their dinner, and he takes advantage of their absence to crawl into the same tent as the teenage girl and start calling himself Daddy. And look, I'm not gonna kink shame. I even understand the daddy kink to a certain extent. You lot can start calling me Daddy whenever you want. I'm fine with whatever 2 consenting adults want to do in the bedroom. But one of these parties isn't an adult, and it only adds an extra creep factor when Harmon starts referring to himself as Daddy. But fortunately, Cherry Bomb explodes a fish, and Angela runs off screaming like a girl, which frees her up to stumble across Harmon and teenager having sex, at which point she starts beating them with a big stick. There isn't a whole lot of gore in this scene, but the beating does go on for a while. And as much as I don't know if the teenager did anything to deserve this, I'm never gonna say no to watching a pedophile get murdered in a horror film. You go, Angela. I'm rooting for you. Again. The first 2 deaths out of the way, Angela stuffs their bodies in a tent, and then waits for Cherry Bomb and Graffiti Boy to get back. Later that night, when the 2 boys are asleep, Angela stuffs a cherry bomb up Cherry Bomb's nose, causing his head to explode. Nice death there, I'm a fan of that. And then she stuffs Graffiti Boy in the tent with the bodies and sets the whole thing on fire. The next morning, Angela shows up at Lily's group, claiming that Harmon wanted her to join with them. Can you guess the plot of the movie yet? Yeah, there really isn't one to this movie. Mostly it just follows Angela. She picks off everyone at this summer camp one by one. Otherwise, it's just teenagers being teenagers. Which probably would have been a problem with the second movie, when nobody had a personality and the entire runtime was just boring death after boring death. But here, weirdly enough, they actually do take the time to introduce you to our body count, so that you become invested in their inevitable death. Probably the most amount of time is spent with Lily's group, where we get introduced to an entirely new group of kids. We have Arab. Her whole thing is that she's angry and mean all the time. Cindy, her thing is that she's openly racist. Riff, he listens to music all the time, and for some reason brought a gun to summer camp, which he pulls on Angela when she asks him to tone his music down. And Bobby here wants to be a politician when he grows up, so he's all nice and conservative and stuff. Until, of course, he tries to force himself on Angela, justifying it by saying that girls like her always want it. Ugh, what an unlikable group of douchebags. I can't wait to watch them all die. Wait, did I just get excited for something in this movie? Wait, am I actually enjoying this movie? I guess so. Even the deaths are pretty fun to watch. For instance, Cindy gets hoisted to the top of the flagpole by her belt, and then she gets dropped on her head. Angela convinces Bobby to let her tie him to a tree, at which point she attaches his arms to her truck and drives off, pulling his arms right off. And Lily, meanwhile, gets buried alive, leaving only her head exposed, so that Angela can run over it with a lawnmower. There isn't a whole lot of gore involved in these deaths, and the movie probably would have been stronger if there was. But regardless, you can tell that a lot of thought went into them, which is more than you could say for the last movie. Even Angela's one-liners don't bother me as much this time around. I mean, they're still there, but they don't come across as quite as nonsensical as they did last time. Most of Angela's characters left up to what Pamela Springsteen can contribute through her performance. And considering her performance was not a problem that I had with the last movie, I'm okay with this. She's actually kind of adorable. Who's an adorable little murderess? You are! Yes, you are! And another thing while we're on the topic of Angela. Her being transgender seems to have been written out of this movie. Nobody ever brings it up. And yeah, you could argue that that's because this is movie 3 and she transitioned a long time ago. And considering she's a well-established murderer by this point, there are more important parts of her personality that we could focus on. But there's also a scene where Barney gives a full profile on her. And he mentions things like race, but never the fact that she's transgender. So, take from that what you will. Personally, what I take from it is that this movie comes with fewer politics attached. And I can sort of enjoy it more because of that. Anyway, moving on. Once Angela finishes with Lily's group, she moves on to Barney's. Here, we have the closest thing to a final couple that the movie gives us. Tony and Marcia. Tony's personality is that he's in a gang, but he wants to get out because he's all cool and distant and deep. Marcia's personality is that she's attracted to Tony. Throughout the whole movie, we keep cutting back to them, establishing them as a couple as they fall in love and eventually have sex. Imagine that. The main couple in a sleepaway camp movie are allowed to have sex, and neither one of them is made out to be an evil whore because of it. When Angela shows up, she lures Marcia and Barney away from the rest of the group, and it doesn't take them long to figure out who she really is. Okay, this is it. Barney has just identified the woman that murdered his son. What's he gonna do about it? He's gonna get shot and die. Wow, that plot point proved so fruitful. After Angela kills Barney, she confronts Marcia, but she can't bring herself to kill her because she reminds her too much of Molly from the last movie. Which, okay, I didn't bring this up in my review for Sleepaway Camp 2, but in that movie, everyone tried to excuse Angela's prudishness by saying that she was secretly gay. This, of course, wasn't true, because what they were picking up on was the fact that Angela is a slasher villain. But throughout the whole movie, everyone kept calling Angela a dyke. I'm allowed to say that word, by the way. I've dated more than enough dykes in my time. Returning to this movie, we never find out what happened to Molly. But we know that Angela still has fond feelings towards her, because she can't bring herself to kill Marcia. Which makes me think, yeah, Angela is a little gay. That isn't backed up by anything in the movie, and it doesn't affect the plot at all. I just thought it was interesting. Anyway, Angela kidnaps Marcia and holds her hostage before going back for the remaining campers and forcing them to play a game. They have to wander through a campsite full of corpses to rescue Marcia. Conveniently enough, this game kills everyone except for Marcia and Tony, who Angela just lets go. Literally, she gives a whole speech and everything before releasing her lead couple and heading off into the woods. But as it turns out, Marcia is the ungrateful type because she chases Angela down and stabs her repeatedly, even after she was willing to let her live. And if that wasn't bad enough, she rejects Tony afterwards, saying that she already has a boyfriend back at home. Interesting choice for this movie to make its final girl a raging bitch, but you know, Angela is taken away in an ambulance, and just when you think that all is lost for our favorite transgender homicidal maniac, she wakes up and kills the paramedics. The end. So, final thoughts. This movie isn't good in a traditional sense. It doesn't have much of a plot, the gore is basically non-existent, and the characters are predominantly stereotypes. But, that being said, this is exactly what I was hoping for when I sat down to watch a Sleepaway Camp sequel. My only real complaint against the movie is its lack of gore. But outside of that, it's basically just a cheap, cheesy kill fest with a pretty fun heroine/villain. So if that's what you're looking for this evening, I'd definitely give it a watch. It won't make you think, but it might just keep you entertained for an hour and a half anyway. And really, what more could you ask for from a dumb slasher sequel? I didn't hate this movie. I mean, I went in with no expectations, but still, I didn't hate it. And my eyes really are feeling much better now. I think I've cried most of the bleach away anyway. Maybe I'll even be able to, watch the next movie. What is it anyway? Oh no. I've heard stories, legends. I didn't think they were real, but here we are, meeting at last. Okay, let's do this. Join me next time, boils and ghouls, for Sleepaway Camp 4, The Survivor.